Warning, the following audio transmission will forever change your outlook on society. You will no longer believe the narrative. You are about to wake up and see things for what they really are. News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Doom Daily Show. I am your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Everywhere on social media, @Jester Dooms. The website, www.jestersvoice.com. Go there, buy an Apocalyptic Apparel t-shirt. While you're there, leave us an audio message using the button at the top of the page. And don't forget to follow on social media, everywhere, @Jester Dooms. As always, like, share, and subscribe to the show if you have not already. Now, it is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a fantastic morning out there as you're starting your day, as you're traversing to work, or maybe you're dropping the kids off at the local bus stop because you want to ship them off to the circus. I don't know how it is or what you do in the mornings, but I hope it's going swell. I think that every job I've had a different morning routine, right? And I think back to like just different things I used to do in the morning, because a lot of the jobs I've had, it was rushing to work, trying not to be late. I didn't develop punctuality until I was in like my mid-20s. Okay, so when I started working as like a teen up until like my mid-20s, it was like, fuck it, I'll get there when I get there. I'm not speeding. I'm not going to run a red light. I'll get there when I get there, man. Oh, fucking well. Okay. Excuse me. So I think back, after I started being like, hey, it's really easy to wake up an hour earlier for work to be on time every day. And I got into this mentality, this kind of prepper mindset of what something happens. What happens if I get a flat tire on the way to work? What happens if I get pulled over? What happens if there's an accident? It's best to leave early to be early. And a lot of the times this gives you time to dick off and make stops along the way, right? So when I worked at the school, I had kind of this traditional thing of I'm stopping at some gas station in the morning, whether it was a Wawa or a Speedway or something, and I'm going to grab myself a coffee, maybe an energy drink for later, maybe a snack, maybe breakfast, and I'd load up on some things and I'd take my happy ass into work. Okay, that's how I would do it. And other jobs that I've worked in the past that I had to be up early, it started becoming this like morning routine of I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have coffee and I'm going to be awake before I get in the car and turn that engine over, and I'm going to be right with the world and fully awake before I get out on the highway and put other souls at risk. Okay. And that started years ago, and I've carried that like into today. So I think everybody's morning's different, but I think it really varies on what you're doing. So, but for years, it's been wake up, make the coffee, hang out, take a shit, do what I need to do, and then get out the door. So I'm really curious what your morning routines are. If you want to, you can go to the website. Again, www.jestersvoice.com. Go there and leave an audio message and tell me and Producer Scooter what your morning routine is. We would love to hear it. And maybe we can incorporate it in our daily routine. Wouldn't that be fun? As you're listening to this, I will be in the vehicle with my morning routine, taking the various crotch goblins where they need to go for the day. An exciting piece of news is, as of next week, my life is taking kind of a restart, okay? I've mentioned on the show, we had some extended family move in, and one of those family members is having a big change in their life, and they're making some big accomplishments, and therefore it's going to screw up my morning routine, and it's going to change it, but for the better. I will then have less driving in the morning. I will then have less traversing. It's going to be a change for the better. And, it almost feels, like I said, it almost feels like a restart, like we're getting a reset of routine. And I couldn't be happier or more excited that this change is coming, because my wife and I have been running ourselves ragged trying to keep up with the needs of everybody in our household. And it is absolutely 100% exhausting. There's no question about it. It's mentally draining. It's physically draining. It is financially draining. And we are just pretty much trying to keep our heads above water 90% of the time in order to get to the end of the day and then wake up the next day and do it all over again. And this sudden change that's happening, this good, magnificent, fantastic, fabulous change is going to keep our heads above water so much more. Because with this added change, not only is it less running and less financially restricting and all these other things, but it also grants more freedom. Okay, it grants so much more freedom. And then also, it's my kids are about to be coming up on summer break, so we're no longer going to be at bay to this fucking public school system that I'm so just sick of. Yeah, it's just going to be a fantastic, fantastic time. So, again, go to the website. Let us know what your morning routine is, because, again, we would love to hear it. Okay? And we'll be back right after these messages.
Can't get enough of Jester Dooms? Check out his other show, It's Doomsday Podcast, available on all podcast platforms. That's It's Doomsday Podcast.
Back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I am your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. I stumbled across an interesting article, and I wanted to get into this, but I want you guys to understand I have very strong opinions about this topic, okay? And I'm somebody that's been on both sides of this topic, so whether you're for it, whether you're against it, I've been on both sides of it. I have very strong beliefs, and I am going to let you know what they are in this segment. So, on the Epic Times, U.S. to revoke passports of people who owe significant child support. The Department of State announced on May 7th that it would revoke the U.S. passports of parents who are significantly behind on child support payments. Now, I'm going to start with this one nugget, and this one nugget only. Once you own a passport, it costs $0 to maintain it. It's yours. It's paid for until it expires and you have to get another one. It doesn't cost you anything to maintain it. All right. So I want you to hold that out there in the ether as we continue through this article. Okay. The department said it would work with the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to revoke passports of individuals who owe significant child support debt, providing a link to the new guidance. Anyone owing child support debt should arrange payment now when the relevant state child support enforcement agency to prevent passport revocation, the State Department said in a post on X. If outside the U.S., when their passport is revoked, individuals with significant debt will be eligible only for a limited validity passport for direct return to the United States. Okay, so let me stop you. Let me stop you there. The idea that they're going to revoke passports that are already legal, that are already, that aren't expired, that are a legal form of identification, binding document, whatever, the fact that they can be revoked while you're out of country is downright diabolical and downright dangerous, because I'm going to tell you something, okay? There's a lot of the time, there are times people travel outside the U.S. and they country hop, because what you guys have to remember, and you may not understand, is our states in the U.S. are the size of most countries, okay? And very comparatively, like when you look at Europe as a whole, like when you look at like Italy, Greece, like these countries are the size of our states, okay? So this would be like telling you, oh, you're on the West Coast and you went to California and you were going to go to Oregon to see your cousin. Well, guess what? You're not going. That short of a distance you can't go because that passport's been revoked and therefore you cannot cross country lines. Okay? So just bear that in mind. In a statement, the department said the enforcement is designated to put American families first through our passport process. Under personal responsibility and work opportunity, Reconciliation Act of 1996, PRWORA, which was signed into law by President Bill Clinton in 1996, the government can deny or revoke passports from parents owing more than $2,500 in child support. As the State Department rejects or revokes a passport, it must send the person a notice and provide the parent with means to contact a relevant state child support agency according to the law. Now, if you're, and here's, again, I started the beginning of this, that passport's bought, it's paid for, it's your fucking property, it's there, okay? It's there. Ladies and gentlemen, the child support system in this country is very fucking broken. It's very fucking broken. I've been on both sides of this. I was someone who was the payer and I was someone who was the payee, okay? And let me tell you something. When I was the payer, I don't know how many countless notices I sent into the child support office stating, hey, listen, we have a very bizarre custody agreement. And I tried to explain to them my circumstances. I said, listen, my child is spending more nights with me than your average father who just gets weekends or every other weekends. And they said, sir, how is that? And I said, well, he spends the entire summer break with me. He gets out of school. He comes down to my state. He stays the entire fucking summer till break goes back in. And then I said, I get him for 1 week in the fall. And then we rotate holidays. We rotate Christmas and Thanksgiving. So I get him a week in the fall, a week over the winter, whether Christmas or Thanksgiving. And I said, then I get him for a week in the spring, and then I get him back in the summer. And they said, well, yeah, that's a lot of time. I said, yes, it is. And I said, and you guys are having me pay child support all summer long while this child resides with me. And they said, yeah, that's just kind of how the agreements are set up. I said, so wait, whoa. You're telling me that I have to pay child support for my son who's residing in my home for 3 fucking months and still pay to take care of him in my house while my ex is basically getting free money every month with nobody to take care of and is out running around doing whatever the hell she wants. Well, sir, that's really not how that works. Yes, the fuck it is. Well, sir, you have to think about, like, if, you know, she still has rent to pay and the child occupies a dwelling and she still has a power bill to pay and the child occupies, you know, the power bill and blah, 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 and like all the shit, right? And I'm like, okay, fine. Fair the fuck enough. I said, so should the child be deprived when he's here since I'm still paying his bills there? Because if you expect me to fund this child, and if you expect me to fund her to have this child when she doesn't, then there's a big disconnect here of, one, who's a priority, two, whose money matters and whose doesn't, and then thirdly, you're not putting any thought or value into the benefit of what the child is getting as much as you are keeping money rolling into the system, okay? Now, after a long time fighting, I did get things reduced. It took almost a year of fighting, but I started getting reductions. I got reductions for the time he was with me. I got reductions for the travel expenses for him to come visit me. And I got a couple other minor deductions here and there. All right. Now, I personally think that the rules should have been more reversed when we had these extended visits in the summertime. Like, hey, that order gets paused for 3 months. There's nothing. Instead, they just did these subsidy discounts. And now my ex, with the freedom and extra money coming in, managed to develop herself a very nice drug habit. So cheers to the child support system. Cheers. So let's continue into this. Those who owe child support should contact the state to pay their debt and can be eligible for a new U.S. passport. The department added the state will then have to notify HHS to confirm that the individual has paid the debt and remove the person's name from its records before sending that information to the State Department, and process that can take 2 to 3 weeks at minimum. So, more red tape in the system, because now you have a situation where they hired another person to do another fucking job. Okay, you hired another person to do another fucking job at this point. So, more money on the American taxpayers to get money that's not being regulated. Okay, now 2 to 3 weeks. So let's say you pay off your child support debt, you buy your tickets to go on vacation, everything's good, you're waiting on this passport to come, and it doesn't. and you get fucked out of your vacation time. Maybe it's about to expire for the year. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, whatever. But let's throw a hypothetical situation out there with this. Remember how in the beginning of this segment I said, remember, that's your passport. You bought it. You paid for it. It's your property. It is yours. It doesn't cost you anything to maintain. It's just there. Okay? It's like buying a book and setting it on the fucking shelf. Okay? You bought it. It's there. It's yours. All right? Now, let's use a hypothetical question. Say Uncle Jimmy O'Reilly is getting married in Ireland, and he says, hey, Dooms, I want you to fly over for the wedding. Can you do that? And I say, listen, Uncle Jimmy, I don't have the funding right now to come over to Ireland. Dude, I'm sorry. I'd love to come to your wedding, man, but I just can't make it happen. I can't afford the plane ticket. I can't afford the hotel. I can't afford to rent a car, blah, blah. And he tells me, Jimmy says, look, Dooms, here's the deal. How about this? How about I get your ticket to get you over here? Okay. I say, yeah. I'll let you use my Vespa. Okay, so now I got transportation and a plane ticket. I'll pick you up at the airport. Okay, so I don't need an Uber now or whatever they have in Ireland. Okay, and says, you know what? You can actually crash at my dad's house because he died last August and nobody's occupying his house, and we kind of need somebody to be at the house anyway to fix some stuff. So in exchange for me flying you over, like, would you mind, like, working on some plumbing and shit while you're there just to kind of help out? The wedding's going to, we're going to have a bachelor party. We're going to do this. So you're going to be here for 3 weeks. You think you could fix the fucking toilet while you're here if I do all this for you? And I say, sure, Uncle James. I can do that. Yeah, no problem, dude. So now you have this hypothetical situation where all my expenses for travel are covered because a family member wants to fly me in town for an event. And that happens more times than what you would think. Grandparents overseas who haven't seen their grandkids, who their kids relocated to the U.S., want to fly their kids over. If they're backed up on child support, they can't go see their family. I'm sorry, what? I thought it was bad enough when child support went after fucking driver's license because we do that too, right? And it doesn't have good fucking results because you end in a fucking paradox with that shit. I got a friend right now who owes so much money in child support, back child support, and it's all arrears payments because they were all so damn ridiculous, but it's arrears payments. The kid's in his fucking 20s now, and there's no longer an order, but he's just trying to get caught up on the arrears, and they won't give him a fucking driver's license because he owes arrears. And it's not a huge amount of arrears, but he can't drive himself to work because he has no license, because they took it because of the arrears. So what is he supposed to do? Now, when you say, oh, Dooms, well, he might be able to get a hardship license. Well, he's working on it. It's not as easy as a process as one would think, okay? But you're already taking people's driver's licenses away from them and revoking their driving privileges, which allows them to make money to pay this debt. So let me tell you, when I say the system's very fucked up and it's very destroyed and it's very broken, it absolutely fucking is, okay? Now, to continue on to this. The hypothetical that I was talking about where somebody else would fund your travel to go overseas, some of you might be saying, that's absolutely fucking insane. Nobody would do that. But how many people would get their family member, say, a cruise ticket to get on a boat with them and go to fucking Costa Rica or fucking somewhere? I don't fucking know. Someplace, right? Yeah, they probably fucking would, okay? So the idea that they want to put strongholds on passports and all this shit is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I think if you have any sort of voice out there at all, I think people need to be shouting out like, no. Now, this is what's very interesting. A passport holder who is abroad at the time of revocation will need to visit a U.S. embassy or consulate to obtain an emergency travel document that allows them to return to the United States, according to the Senate Department. They will also have to contact the state where the child support is owed to pay off the debt it added. So not only are they going to revoke your passport while you're gone, they are then going to charge you money for this process and charge you money to file for another process and expect you to still pay off the child support and be waiting for you to put you in handcuffs the moment you step off the plane because they want you to go straight to the embassy or the consulate and they want you to fly fucking straight home where they know where you're going so they could slap your ass in fucking cuffs. I'm sorry, what? Now, I want to, before I continue into this article, because I think this whole thing is bullshit, all right? The State Department advised with child support debt to contact their state with any questions. In quotations, we are expanding a common sense practice, bullshit, that has been proven effective at getting those who owe child support to pay their debt. Bullshit. Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs, Maura NOMRAD told media outlets on Thursday. Once these parents resolve their debts, they can once again enjoy the privilege of a U.S. passport. So I had somebody tell me one time the idea that we need a passport to travel the earth that we inhabit is bullshit, that you should not need it. You should not need a passport to go and see the world. You shouldn't have to buy a government-approved document to go see a land that was provided for you that you were born into. That's fucking bullshit. Now, I understand checks and balances, and I understand that we just can't have people just bouncing all over the place and going whatever the hell they want, but a passport should be fucking free. You want to regulate where I'm going? You want to know where I'm going? You should fucking pay for that. Why the fuck should I have to pay for that? That helps you. That doesn't help me. What the fuck am I buying? Control? Fuck you. No, I don't like it. Okay, so, but to get into the child support on the back end of this, and we're going to be done with this article. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Need a break from reality? Well, sometimes I do too. And the place I go to take that break is the Beans and Weenie Show. You can find the link at linktree.com/BWD crew. The Beans and Weenie Show, where chaos and common sense wage war and you get a front row seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I'm your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Everywhere on social media at Jester Dooms. The website, www.jestersvoice.com. Everywhere on social media at Jester Dooms. Okay, so checks and balances, eh? That's what you say, government? You want checks and balances? That's what you say? Okay. So I'll have you know, as somebody that was a payee into the child support system, my ex was unemployed. She did have a career. She did have a job. She had a job title. She had a capable amount of money that she should have been making every month with her career path that she chose. They ordered her to pay $50 a fucking month for the same child that I had because she had custody. She got fucked up. She lost custody. I had custody, and I was awarded child support. Now, how do you tell me this child's worth more when he's in her custody but not mine? How does that work? How does that compute? So she has the kid, he's worth $500 a month. I have the kid, he's worth $50 a month. How the fuck does that work? Oh, well, Dooms, it's income driven, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what your income calculator says. If he was valued at that when he was with her, he should be valued at that when he's with me. Oh, yeah, but her income, da-da-da. I don't care. Then your calculator, then there's clearly it's clearly a broken system then. It's clearly a broken fucking system, okay? It truly is. And then checks and balances, let's talk about it. So, mothers who are obtaining child support from fathers do not have to provide the fathers nor the courts with any sort of receipts or tell anybody where the money is going. They don't have to. They get that cash and they could do whatever the fuck they want with it, and everybody knows it. It doesn't have to go to the kid. It can go to drugs. It doesn't have to go to the kid. It can go to a night out. It doesn't have to go to the kid. It can go into the abusive new stepfather's pocket. It can, because nobody's checking up on it. And then a lot of the times what you have happen with this is you have parental alienation, okay? Because what you have happen is mom's getting her nice fat little check, and she goes and spends money on whatever the fuck she wants, and then the kid shows up to see dad, and the dad says, hey, what's up, man? And kid says, hey, dad, I need new shoes. I've been telling mom for a month. She won't get them for me. He's like, well, dude, I'm sending her $1,000 a month in support. What do you mean she's not getting you shoes? She's getting plenty of money. What's going on? And then they get into a fight, and then the mom says to the kid, you know, your dad's just greedy, and he's got all this money, and he's only giving us a little bit for you, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, boom, parental alienation. There it fucking is. Ask me how the fuck I know. So, irregardless, the struggle of this is very real, and a lot of fathers are going through this nationwide. Man, nation fucking wide, they're going through this. So, I want you to stop and think to yourself, why in the fuck is there no accountability on the payee side? Why is there none? Why is there no receipts provided? Why are there no checks and balances? Why is there not yearly audits? Why does this get away with so much? You know why? Do you know why? Because child support isn't the benefit. It's not for the benefit of the children. It's the benefit for the system, because it's a fucking business. Okay? That is what the fuck it is. The government does not care about that child. The government doesn't care if that child has enough to eat. The government does not give a flying fuck. They could give a rat's ass if your kid's in rags or not. They don't care, okay? So at the end of the day here, when it comes to this child support topic, I'm very hot over the whole issue because, like I said, I've been on both sides of it. And I've seen how much of a sexist system it is, right? Because a father will fight for his kids. A mother will walk the fuck away. I'm sorry if no one's told you that before. This might be the first time you're hearing it. Mothers walk, fathers fight. It happens a lot. I'm not saying there's mothers out there that won't fight for their kids, but it is so much more common to see a father that'll fight for his kids and see a mother that'll walk away. And you know what? The government knows that. Local governments know that. The court system knows that. So they know they could tax that father to death. You want fucking proof? Talk to me about fucking alimony. Who gets it? Talk to me about child custody. Who gets the kids? Talk to me about who continuously pays for attorneys over and over and over and over and over again just to get weekend visitations with their kids. Oh, gee, I don't know. The fucking father. So, and the system has made this crazy assumption that the mothers need their help. And they say that. Do you notice how there's no, like, battered or abused hotline for men? Do you ever notice how you don't see too many, like, attorneys that are advertising for alimony for men? You ever notice these things? It's because the system's not designed that way. The system's designed to favor the women. I say if y'all want equality, we start with abolishing child support. I say if you want equality, we start with abolishing fucking child custody. I say we get rid of all that shit. That's where we could start equality. That's what I say. The Constitution inherently grants you 50-50 rights to your children. The moment you step in a fucking family courtroom setting, that right goes the fuck away because you turn that right over to them to decide for you. But that's all the time we got for today. We'll be back here tomorrow for another exciting episode of the Doom Daily Show. Producer Scooter, if you would, sir, push that button.
News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.